This is D. Sugandhi from Hindustan Institute of Technology. The course code is 24CS301 and course name is Programming for Problem Solving in C. This is our course objectives. The first objective is to understand the constructs of C language, then to develop C programs using basic programming constructs, and to develop C programs using arrays and strings, then to develop modular applications in C using functions. We all know that C is one of the most popular programming language. It is being used on several different software platforms. In this lecture, we will mainly focus on functions. Topics to be covered. Here we will see about what is a function, what is the use of the function, how to declare a function, how to define a function, what is the syntax used to declare and define a function, and what are function prototypes, and what are the methods used to pass the parameters. So these things are we are going to discuss in this lecture. And what is a function, right? Now we will see about what is a function. Function is a subprogram that contains one or more statements and it performs some task when called. In C function, a large C program is divided into basic building blocks, which contains a set of instructions enclosed by curly braces. It performs specific operations in the C programs. Actually, collection of these functions create a C program. Next is functions types. So functions are mainly classified into two types. One is predefined function and other one is user-defined functions. So predefined functions. What is predefined functions? Predefined functions are library functions or built-in functions. So predefined functions, these functions have the three different names: library functions, built-in functions, or it can be called as standard functions. So in this function, user can use the function but cannot modify the function. So these functions are defined in the library of C compiler, which are used frequently in the C program. C support many built-in functions like mathematical functions, string manipulation functions, input and output functions. For example, square root, see this slide, square root, this is a predefined functions. If you want to compute a square root of a particular value, just we can use this function to get the desired output. Here no need to write lengthy code to compute those output. So next is user-defined function. What is user-defined function? The functions defined by the user of their requirement are called user-defined functions. Whenever it is needed, the user can modify the function. So here the user can construct their own functions to perform some specific task, right? So this type of functions created by the user is termed as user-defined function, right? For example, when you want to add two numbers, you can create your own functions to do that. For example, named as sum to add two numbers, right? So next we will see about the advantages of user-defined function. So these are the important advantages of user-defined functions. These are the three important advantages involved in user-defined functions. The length of the source program can be reduced, and it is easy to locate the error and to avoid coding of repeated instructions. And next we will see about elements of user-defined function, right? So in user-defined function consists of three important elements: function definition, function declaration, function call. So function definition, right? So see this, this is the syntax for the function. So this particular syntax contains these three first element, function definition element. So here function definition element, so what are the sections included in this function definition section, just we will see. So function definition section or function definition, just it is a program module written to achieve a specific task is called as function definition. Each function definition consists of two parts: function header and function body. So in this syntax, the first statement, this is the function body. Here the first is data type and is function name, and third part is parameters. And data type, just we can define the type of data. So it can be of integer or float, character, double, or void. And function name, just we can define the name of our function, and it should be a valid identifier. In parameter list, just we list the variables. So what kind of parameters or what kind of variables we are used in our function, those variables do be listed in the parameter list. And function next is function body. Function body, just it will contain the two parts: variable declaration part and executable part. Variable declaration part, just we can declare the variables, and executable part, just we can define the set of statement to perform the specific activity, right? The last part is return section. So here just this particular return, it is a keyword. This is mainly used to return control back to the calling function. And now we will see about how function works. So see this syntax for the function mechanism. So here we have the two sections. One is calling function and the other section is called function. So here calling function contained one function named as function 1. So this particular calling function, it will be called by the main function. Once called this function, then control will be passed to the called function. So after calling this function by the called function, that particular calling function temporarily stopped. So in called function, so it will perform some computations according to your applications, and then it will return the value to the calling function, that is main function section, right? So next we will see about parameters. First we will see about what is parameter. So parameters, here the inputs that a function takes are known as arguments or parameters. So these parameters are consist of two types: actual parameter and formal parameter. So see the example for actual parameter and formal parameters. So here we have the two sections. One is main function section and Other section is user defined function definition section. So here main function section has the actual parameters. For example, func1 a comma b. So function of a comma b, this a comma b are the actual parameters. In user defined function section, we have the formal parameters, right? So here x, y are the formal parameters, right? Then written statement. So already I told to you. So what is the use of written statement? So the written, already you know very well, written, it is a keyword. It is mainly used to return control back to the calling function. So here we use the syntax of written statement. So here we used two types of syntax. One is written and other syntax is written of expression, right? The first one is, so if a function is not returning value, then statement is will be written like this, written. And next is, if a function is if a function is returning value, then the statement will be written like this, written within this parenthesis. Just you can mention or define the value or define the expression, right? So next is function prototypes. So function is mainly categorized into 4 ways. First way is function with no arguments and no return values, and function with arguments and no return values, and function with arguments and return values. Last category is function with no arguments and with return values. The first category is function with no arguments and no return values. Here no data transfer takes place between the calling function and the called function. So here the functions act independently. So that is, they get input and display output in the same block, right? This is the syntax for function with no arguments and no return values. So this is the example for a function with no arguments and no return values. So in this category, no data is transferred from calling function to called function. Hence, called function cannot receive any values. So in this example, no arguments are passed to user-defined function add. So see here, called function, just we can able to see our function, user-defined function, right? Hence, no parameter are defined in the function header, right? And when the control is transferred from calling function to called function, A and B values are read, they are added, then the results is printed on monitor. When return statement is executed, then control is transferred from called function to calling function. That is, called function is add function and calling function is main function. So this is the output of the program. And the next category is function with arguments and no return values. So here data transfer takes place between the calling function and the called function. So it is a one-way communication. So this is the syntax for function with arguments and no return values. So let us consider this example. So in this category, there is data transfer from calling function to the called function using parameters. So, but there is no data transfer from called function to the calling function. The value of, here the value of actual parameters. So see here, in main function contains the actual parameters a comma b. A and b are copied into the formal parameters x and y. The value of a and the value of x and y are added and results stored in the result stored in add is displayed on the screen is called function itself, right? This is the output of that program, and this is the one more example for that case. And next is function with the arguments and return values. Here data transfer takes place between the calling function and called function, as well as between called function and calling function. It is the two-way communication. This is the syntax for function with the arguments and return values. So let us consider this example for this category. So here there is data transfer between the calling function and called function. So when actual parameters values are passed, then the formal parameters in called function can receive the values from the calling function. When the add function returns a value, then the calling function receives a value from the called function. The values of the actual parameters a and b, right, which is available in a main function, are copied into the formal parameters x and y. And addition operation is computed and returned back to the calling function, which is assigned to the variable c or variable result variable. So here result variable is c. That because function add of a comma b, it will be stored in the variable c, right? So this is the output of that program. And next is function with no arguments and with return values. Here data transfer takes place between the called function and the calling function. It is a one-way communication because here no arguments, and here just we are returning the values to the calling function, right? So this is the function, this is the syntax for function with no arguments and with return values. So see this example. Here no data transfer from the calling function to the called function, but there is data transfer from called function to the calling function. No argument passed to the function add. So no parameters are defined in the function header. When the function returns a value, then the calling function receives one value from the called function and assigns to variable d. So here result variable is d. Then the result value is printed in the calling function, right? And this is the output of that category, output of that program. And next is parameter passing methods. There are two methods used to pass the parameters to the functions: call by value and call by reference. First is call by value. So here actual arguments pass to the formal arguments. If any changes to the formal arguments, it does not affect the actual arguments. So see this example. So here execution starts from function main, and we will read the values for variables x and y. Then assume we are reading, see the output 5 and 6 respectively. We will print the values before swapping or changing. So here just we using change function. That's why I am telling changing, right? Before swapping, it will print 5 and 6. Then the function change is called with the actual parameters x equal to 5 and y equal to 6. In the function header of function change, the formal parameters a and b receives the value 5 and 6. In the function change, then the value of the a and b are exchanged, right? This is the output of that program. And next is call by reference. So here instead of passing the value, the address of the argument will be passed. If any changes to the formal arguments, it will affect the actual arguments. So this is the example for the call by reference or call by address or pass by reference or pass by value. So here address operators are used to denote the address variables. So based on this, just we can pass. We are passing the address of the argument instead of passing the values. Right. This is the output of the output of that program. And next is library functions. Already we know that it is a predefined function or built-in functions or standard functions. So these are the some of the example for library functions. This is the example code for library function. See this example. And we will see about how to create our own header file. So for example, we have a program named calc.c, and also we have 4 functions, and subtract, mul and div. Here function add is not part of the program name calc.c, but here we are calling the add function, which is a separate module into the calc.c program, making it act like a library function. This is our course outcomes. The end of this lecture, we will be able to develop and implement modular applications in C using functions. And this is all about functions in C. And that's all we have for today. Thank you.